Yo, man. Welcome back to another episode of For the Love of the Game, the podcast. This is episode 9 or 10. I'm not sure, but it's the first one on YouTube. The other previous episodes will be on Spotify. I'll leave the link in the bio to that. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let's talk playoff basketball. Okay, we here at the best time of the year. It's playoff basketball. The play-in is over, all right? So there's no more play-in. We really hear the real thing. First off, quick question. Is the play-in the playoffs? Either way, we going over the weekend, okay, Saturday and Sunday, all game ones. This is being recorded on Monday night. Y'all will see it Tuesday, so game twos will have started. Philly, by now, the game is winding down. They beat Toronto. They'll take a 2-0 lead. Dallas currently is down 7 to the Jazz at halftime at the time of recording this. I have it right here. I'm definitely locked in. And then we got Golden State versus Denver tonight. Those are all the game twos. So just in case anybody, Jokic, Clay, Jordan Poole, Jalen Brunson, these dudes, Donovan Mitchell, any case anybody has a great performance, that'll be discussed on Thursday. Right now we got the weekend. All right. And we're going to start with Miami and Atlanta. Miami Heat took care of the Atlanta Hawks in dominating fashion, all right? As your typical 1 seed does the 8 seed. But really, there's a deeper thing. Of course, we know Trae Young shit the bed, right? Okay, we know that. But there's more to the series. One, I don't do a lot of predictions, right? Because basketball is such a fragile sport, right? That's why I don't really bet on the games. It's a game. Anything can happen. I got a little prediction on this one. Heat in 7. Yeah, 7 sounds crazy. I said it before Clint got hurt because I knew that they would beat Cleveland, right? But that game Sunday really changed the way I'm looking at stuff, right? So you see Trae had his worst shooting career ever. I think he was 1 for 12. He had 7 points. They came at the free throw line, 0 for 7 from the 3. Plus minus was at a negative 22. And just to tell y'all how bad that is, that was still the third worst on the team. So 2 other people had worse than a negative 22. They were minus 22 on the floor. Trae Young didn't play well, right? And you got to factor a lot of that in. No Clint. They don't have a big man. Okongwu stepped up big in the play-in. But now we got the number 1 seed, right? So a lot will happen in the play-in. Doesn't really matter. It needs to carry over. 2, with no Clint, it really affects Trae Young's floater, his lob. Right, he sets his floater up by the lob. You throw that lob enough, now that defender, that big man usually has to drop back for the lob and then frees up a lot of space for Trae Young to do his floater. Well, with no lob threat and Miami being one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, right, guys that can really play defense. I'm talking about P.J. Tucker, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Dwayne Dedmon. Guys who can really sit in a chair and give some effort on the defensive end, right? You got all those looks. You're playing one of the best defensive teams. You're down a big. You got John Collins, but he hasn't played since like March, so he's working it in. He's coming off the bench. Then on top of that, your guy, Trae Young, shoots awful. So it was a recipe for disaster. And you flip to the Heat, and Duncan Robinson was 9 for 10 for 3, I think. He had 27. Right? It's a totally different ball game for the Heat. You got Jimmy Butler with 21. You got P.J. Tucker, who even has 16. Like I said, Duncan Robinson was 27. You got 10 from Kyle Lowry. This game wasn't that far. In one of my previous videos, I mentioned, though, that the Miami Heat are so good because not only do they have stars, but they also have guys who can pitch in and give you between 7 to 9 points. You know what you're going to get from Bam, Jimmy, Duncan, Tyler, Kyle, PJ, whatever, right? But guys off the bench, right? Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Dwayne Dedmon, guys like that, that little 7 to 10, that's an average, which really means they could get you like 13 or so, really add up. And you look at it, Max Strus had 9, Tyler Hero only had 6, Dwayne Dedmon had 5, Gabe Vincent had 8, and they had a couple more guys. And that seems very minor, I know it does, but it's the playoffs, and every extra contribution that you can get really helps in the playoffs. Game 2, I'm looking for Trae owes them a 30 ball. Okay. Trae Young thrives in these situations. One thing I'm not worried about is Trae Young And part of the reason I said this series could go 7 is because the Hawks, although they slipped a little bit this year, they have experience in the postseason. They played in front of hostile environments all the time. On the other hand, I actually don't think the Heat are that good. And it's so crazy we're going to keep disrespecting them because they play San Antonio-like basketball. And by that, they're not going to make a lot of crazy plays. Bam actually just came out and said it's because they don't want to talk about undrafted players. They're not going to do a lot of crazy things, but they're going to win games. The only team who have more wins than losses every single month this season, that's the Miami Heat. Now, ideally, Miami goes in, right? They really assert their will. The 1 versus the 8 seed, you protect home court. If you still won in Atlanta, you're 3-1 at the worst. So this game 2 is pivotal. But I really got big money on Trey coming through with a 30 ball. I don't doubt it. He's built for it. And this is going to go to 7. It's going to be a series. So I really got Atlanta winning game 2. Now, outside of that, on to the thriller, right? What everybody's really here for. 2 versus 7 in the East. Brooklyn Nets versus Boston Celtics. Bruh, I gotta say some things, man. The Boston Celtics really proved something to me yesterday. And it was just one playoff game. But the thing is, I'm not a very big regular season guy. I'm locked into the regular season. I'm very aware of the second half of the season that the Celtics had. I know what they were doing defensively. I know they lost Robert Williams. All that, right? I get it. But when you get in the playoffs and you play in a team like they played, the Brooklyn Nets, they got the firepower, KD, Kyrie, Seth Curry. It really ends there. But those first two, KD and Kyrie, that's massive firepower. So that's good right there. But when you play in a team like that, right, that's the test. Every night in the regular season, you're not playing a top-tier team. So the stuff you're doing could be glorified on some nights, and some nights you could be off. The regular season's wishy-washy. But those playoffs, right? I made a tweet earlier. I made a tweet today that actually blew up. But I made a tweet prior. They called Jason Tatum like a two-way because, some advanced stat is out now. I don't buy that. I was like, yo, the Jason Tatum I know, that number 0 for the Boston Celtics, he's not a two-way. Let's end that narrative. Just because you got some length on you and you decide to play defense every once in a while doesn't make you a two-way. That was my thing. Then Sunday around 3:30, right, Boston versus Brooklyn tipped off. And I seen number 0 on the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, sit in this chair and guard Kevin Durant, maybe the best Kevin Durant has been guarded this season, right? So that's the first thing. Let me say that. I'm going to call him a two-way. I seen it enough. It's the playoffs. That intensity will not leave. It might have left in the regular season, which is why I wasn't convinced. Postseason, it's not going anywhere. So I'll call him a two-way. But what this team was able to do, right? What they were able to do, the main thing we need to talk about, bro, is Al Horford. Al Horford, mainly because Bruce Brown comes out. He's like, they don't got Robert Williams. Right, so we're going to have to battle with Al Horford and Daniel Tice, and that should be nothing. Well, Al Horford came out, he had 20 points, 15 boards. Bruce Brown, you take that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing. Secondly, the way they played as a team, I was texting in the chats, of course, texting with the homies about the game, and I actually believed in Boston's defense more than I believed in Brooklyn's defense. And of course, that's easy, duh. Brooklyn struggles on defense, obviously, which we're going to get to. But I was saying that if you watch the game, it took for Kyrie Irving to go nuclear for them to get in the game because they were really shut down offensively. Lazy turnovers, bad shots, right? Boston was super physical. So if it really came down to it, and I'm a firm believer in good offense over good defense any day of the week. But on Sunday, the way they were playing, and then Brooklyn's lapse in defense. They're leaving guys open. Boston has so many open looks that really, if Kyrie did not go crazy, this wouldn't be any type of a game, right? Side note on Kyrie Irving, I don't ever want to take money out of man's pocket. But we seen Kyrie with the middle fingers. We seen it all. We ain't seen Kyrie get fined. I'm not saying I want him to get fined. But what I'm saying is, if Kyrie Irving is able to flip the crowd off once, then come back with the double bird and not get fined. But Patrick Beverly got fined after, his little outburst post-game against the Clippers. NBA gonna have some questions we're gonna have to ask. Is it about the player or does everybody gotta follow the rules? Again, I ain't trying to take money out of nobody's pocket. I'm just saying that's something that needs to be talked about. First off, let's get on Kyrie. I love it. Okay, it's playoff basketball. It's playoff basketball. So he's been to Boston multiple times. He's let it go. They're not letting it go, right? They boo him every single time. They heckle him every single time he goes. And it's hard. They not letting off for nothing. This is what I love. They the 7th seed. They kind of the underdogs. But then you playing a team in Boston who they know who they got to play. The crowd knows who they got to face. But Boston this year really has some strong belief. So not only do the players got a chip on their shoulder, it's going to sound crazy, but the fans got a chip on their shoulder, right? So that heckling, that all they doing, you heard them say post-game, calling them all kind of words, it's magnified right now. What I love about Kyrie is like, just because these dudes are professional athletes don't mean that they always got to take the high road, right? I don't know. Don't nobody always want to take the high road, okay? And you don't have to because he's still a person at the end of the day. Kyrie took it back to the park, took it back to trash talking. Like, if you going to say something to me, I'm going to say something back and we going to battle. And it helped. It only helped that he had 39 points, right? So the fact that he going to trash talk and go back and forth with you, but he also had 30, really helps the case. 40, really. But, bro, what a game. But really from Boston, bro, I've seen that as a unit, they can play well. Defensively, I'm bought in, bro. I'm bought in. The goal is obviously Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. They're both going to be amazing. You got to pick one. I did hear a narrative about them like focusing on stopping KD and letting Kyrie just do him. That's not the best idea, bro. Kyrie Irving can take over a game. He can win a game. He literally did it Sunday. They're one play away. Let's talk about that one play. Let's talk about the play before. All right, Kyrie Irving has the ball on the final possession. Kyrie had 22 in the fourth, okay? Something like it. There was a moment before that double came where he went left. He got away from the double, and he had a slither of space to be able to shoot a three, right? Why did Kyrie Irving choose to hesitate? I don't know. That's up to Kyrie Irving. But ideally, you have 22 in the fourth. They're playing through you. They're just feeding it right to you. They would like you to take that shot. Instead, Kyrie Irving passes. His only open opportunity of a hezi runs across court. Now, if you're going to run across court, shoot your little midi, your runner. He doesn't, right? The double's there now. Marcus Smart's playing great D. He kicks it to KD at the top, probably about 3 seconds. KD got to force one up, okay? Because the whole possession was drawn for Kyrie. And Kyrie, if you ain't going to shoot it, it needs to come out earlier. This is the thing. As I mentioned earlier, he had 22 in the fourth. Cannot fault him that much. You would just like to see when he got his space, he was already making threes in the fourth, especially on the left side of the court. You would like him to shoot that shot. Instead, you would prefer the shot that Kyrie passed up over the shot that Kevin Durant eventually took. So then now Boston gets the ball, they push it. Everybody said it now. Shout out Ime Udoka, right, for not calling the timeout. Shout him out, right, because you trust your guys. Now, it also makes sense why he didn't call a timeout because he only had one left. So if you did go down and miss, it would give you the opportunity to then foul because they were down one. So if you did miss, it would give you the opportunity to foul, and then whatever happened after free throws, call a timeout, then set up a potential overtime play. But what you do is you trust your guys, right? So you drive. There's so many questions, bro. But the breakdown happens when Claxton and Bruce Brown go out, right, to the pump fake of Marcus Smart. What a cut by Tatum. Everybody talking about KD, he got backdoored. It was funny to see KD, and he was just hopping around. He didn't know what to do, right? In that moment, you got two guys done overreacted to Marcus Smart. He's open. Jaylen Brown is in front of you. Jason Tatum cuts behind. We got to talk about the Tatum spin, the timely Tatum spin off a Kyrie game-winning layup. One of the best games I've seen, bro. And Boston needed that simply because they asserted their dominance early on. They let Brooklyn crawl back in, which really if Brooklyn would have won that game, it would have been like, okay, Brooklyn is the better team overall. Y'all have the higher seed, dude, or whatever. Boston showed they're going to play great defense. They're going to play hard. Shout out Jaylen Brown, really, when they were down 3, right? The possession before Brooklyn's last possession where Kyrie passed up the shot. They were down 3. JB goes and takes a quick two opposed to trying to tie it with the three. That quick two, right, really preaches to your defense. Take a quick two, bank on the defense, which they did, which it worked. And now when you have the ball for the final possession, it's a 1-point game. You don't have to just shoot a three. You can play basketball, which is what they did. Trust your guys. That's check one for the coach. Marcus Smart. Everybody's giving him praise for not taking that shot. Good decision. Tatum, probably one of the best playoff plays. That instinctual spin, right? Crazy. Game 2, Brooklyn. No doubt, right? This game didn't do much for me in this series. I got Brooklyn winning, and I said in 5. And I'm not letting it go, right? I don't know. Maybe it'll go 6. I really got 5. I think Brooklyn fumbled that game, right? They messed up Kyrie's performance. KD was 9 for 24. You can look at certain things and build off of. KD and Kyrie are the only two dudes who shot in double digits. The next guy was Nicholas Claxton, right? You got to get more guys involved. Ben Simmons is expected back, all of that. But I still got Brooklyn coming out and really taking control of game 2. We're going to see a totally different KD. There's no real question about that. But then we move on to the Eastern Conference, the 3 versus 6. This is going to be the last one we cover in the East because Toronto, 4 versus 5. Toronto versus Philly, I actually think is one of the most boring series in the playoffs. And I'll get to the second most boring series later, but that's one of the most boring ones. Philly up 2-0, cool. Chicago versus Milwaukee, bro. What do we say? First off, let's ask the obvious question. Was it a foul on Giannis, right, with the Patrick Williams, the over the back? Yes, that's a foul. Yes, Giannis had 5 fouls. He got boxed out. He jumped over somebody's back. He should have been fouled out. Now, do I think that the refs were like, hey, Giannis has 5 fouls, so don't really call fouls on him if he does something? Nah. I think that they made a bad call, and it just so happened that it would have sent Giannis out the game. And we know how that game ended, how close it was. Milwaukee not having Giannis could have really been the deciding factor of that game. Or it could have been Vucevic's missed layup. Like, come on, man. You are right in front of the rim. I was talking to my friend today. I'm like, yo, for all y'all watching this who play 2K, I'm like, that's the 2K in him, bro. Intimidator? Think about it. Giannis is down there and Brook Lopez is down there. If you see the layup, Vucevic was right by the rim. He was wide open. You could see all the hope and just the morale leave his body when he missed. Shout out Caruso trying to hype him up, get him back on defense. But really, before I go in on that play, they did get the stop. So, Bulls fans, if you're watching this, are you mad at Vucevic's layup or the following possession where you're down 3 and Zach LaVine comes right down, shoots a 3? No pass, no moving the ball around, not searching for a better shot. He comes down, he pulls a 3. Now, you missed that when the game's really over. Y'all could have had a better shot. Let me know how y'all feel. But the way Milwaukee plays, man, they got those 2 bigs down low. It could have easily impacted Vucevic. You got to shout out Zach LaVine for the third quarter he had, right? Zach LaVine had an amazing third quarter, but the whole Chicago team struggled. Of course, DeMar was 6 for 25. Don't expect 6 from 25 again for DeMar, and he had 18 points. But you look in the whole starting 5 for Chicago had a negative plus minus, and they lose this game by 8. 96-84. First off, let's compare all the playoff scores and let's talk about the 96-84 game. We got 2 teams who play defense. 2 teams who fight on defense, right? Now, Milwaukee was in firm control of this game. It seems like a lot of these teams are getting ahead, and either it's the playoffs, so the team that's down is really fighting hard to get back, or these dudes are letting their foot off the gas, right? And I think for Milwaukee, you got to understand what kind of well-rounded team they are. Can Chicago really match up with them? We seen the record. I was so ready to throw the stat away about Chicago being like 2-16 against top teams because they really went down to the wire. And for teams like Brooklyn, Chicago, Memphis maybe, you lose a close game. The Pelicans, right? We'll touch on them later. You lose a close game, or a game where you were out of it, then you made it a game, and then it got away later, whatever, you really have an advantage going into that next game because now you understand what y'all should do, what really worked for y'all. And while y'all were down at first by a lot, people might have been like demoralized or sad or whatever. But when you start making that push, it brings up the morale of the team, right? So a lot of those teams have the advantage going into game two. I think Chicago has the advantage going into game two. You seen the stuff Alex Caruso was able to do, the impact he was able to make, and he was only 3 for 7. Now, still finished with a negative plus minus, but hey, that's the whole squad. Vucevic was 9 for 27, right? All right, and he had 24 and 17. 24 and 17 is amazing. 9 for 27 is not. You got 9 for 27 here, 6 for 19 for Zach LaVine, 6 for 25 for DeMar DeRozan, and you lose a game by 8 points that really came down to 2 bad possessions, and we're talking about a whole different scenario. So, Chicago definitely has something to build off of. And then as far as stopping Milwaukee, I really don't know what to tell you. Bobby Portis has 10, you know what I'm saying? Drew Holiday has 15. Brook Lopez has 18. Chris Middleton has 11. Giannis has 27. That right there is too much to handle, okay? They had 4 guys in the negatives on the plus minus, but they were guys who didn't see the floor that much, and they weren't starters, okay? So they come out, they play a flawless game. They have a bad third quarter that let Chicago back in the game. But outside of that third quarter, they were good. That's another series where I would say I don't really have a prediction for it, right? What kind of Bulls are we going to get? One thing I can predict is Giannis going to go crazy either way, right? It's the playoffs. He's hungry. And he has a vengeance. So, technically, yeah, give me Milwaukee because I don't think Chicago can do it. But I think they can definitely make a little series out of it. Let's flip over to the West. Phoenix versus the Pelicans, okay? Let me say this. Mikal Bridges. They said something yesterday. Let me ask y'all, how do y'all feel about super teams, okay? Let me tell you how I feel about super teams. A super team can be a team that has multiple star players, 2 to 3 of the top 10 players in the NBA, top 15, whatever. That's a super team. I also feel a super team is a team that has established players and great role players surrounding them. If you have a team that's 8 to 9 deep of solid players, though, that's a super team. Example, I think the Spurs have had super teams. The Pistons team that beat the Lakers in the finals, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, super team. The Suns, the current Suns, a super team. The Warriors before KD, right, where they had most space on the bench, JaVale McGee, Barbosa, so many guys right there, I can't think of them all right now. But like when they played the Cavs 2015 type, right? Like super team. Bogut down, like Harrison Barnes. Guys like that, right? Teams that can, and if you have any more that you're thinking of that I'm missing right now, drop it in the comments. But teams that are well-rounded, and whenever you put in that second unit, they can still pick up the pace and win some games for you. That's a super team. The Suns have won 64 games. They have 8 to 9 guys they can really rely on in their fourth option. What they're getting out of their fourth option, which is Mikal Bridges, is 14 points a game, a career high. 83% from the free throw line. And then you're getting a dude who came second in Defensive Player of the Year award. Your fourth option, 14 points a game. Very efficient from the free throw line. And then it's going to, first off, durability. Hasn't ever missed a game. Now we throw in second in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Fourth option. Give me another team in the comments or that you're thinking of right now that fourth option is giving you production like that. There isn't one. The Suns are crazy, right? Now, another team who let their foot off the gas a little bit, let the Pelicans creep back in. A dude by the name of Chris Paul completely took the game over. He scored or assisted on like 19 straight points. He coasted the whole game. Pelicans fall. I don't know if it's Willie Green. I don't know if it's a scheme. They're young. They switched Larry Nance on them 3 times in a row. The first time they switched, he brought him out. He hit a 3. Second time they switched, he brought him out. He hit another 3. And the third time they switched, he brought him out. He hit a move. He pulled back like he was going to the 3. A quick hezzy right to the basket. Chris Paul took the game over from start to finish. DeAndre Ayton was a beast down there. Mikal Bridges played great. They all played great. This is going to be a 4-0 sweep. I know the Pelicans did make a run. They went on like an 18-5 run in that third. And I was just talking about that actually gives you life for the next game. But this here is a sweep. The Suns are head and shoulders better than a lot of teams I want to say in the NBA, but in these playoffs, head and shoulders, right? So another team, I don't know if I want to say super team, but we're definitely getting there. The 1 seed over in the East. Matter of fact, stamp it right now. I will say the number 1 seed in the East, the Miami Heat, and the number 1 seed in the West, the Phoenix Suns, are both super teams. 8 to 9 guys you could truly depend on, come in at any time and help win you a game. That's a super team. I'm going to stamp it. Let me know if y'all agree. All right, moving on to the 2-7. It's what we wanted, right? Young, courageous, trash talking. All the narratives, we got him. Anthony Edwards. He just said I'm the best defensive player, actually. That's what he said in the NBA. Confidence, you already know. But came out first playoff game ever, he had 30. Okay. I don't want to say Memphis is in trouble because the Timberwolves are a good team. They're a gritty team. They're another team led by Pat Bev that they're going to thrive in this moment. And while Pat Bev gets a lot of the credit, bro, really look at the personality types. It's Pat Bev, okay? But you got D'Lo, who coming out of college was one of the best things since sliced bread, right? D'Angelo Russell, he wears number 0. That's how many people could guard him. He had all high schoolers saying that, for real. Then, ice in his veins, right? That is showing up in the biggest moments. That's the only way you can have ice in your veins. Is when the pressure's on, you still come through. Came through plenty of times. He was bounced from LA. They said he wasn't good enough. They thought they had a better deal. He went to Brooklyn. He thrived with Brooklyn, had career highs in Brooklyn. They threw him to the side. They had a better deal. So he's been tossed around, right? But he's still a good player. He's a problem. He'll always be a problem. And then you look at Ant, one of the most confident young dudes in the NBA, right? Coming in with his swag. He said he could be a baseball player, yet he don't know Alex Rodriguez, right? He's the best defender in the NBA. You heard all his interviews, dude. He's high entertainment. First, he's a high flyer. He play with confidence. He is Kobe in the definition of he will go 10 for 39. Who cares? And when he make that 11th one, he probably going to talk to the crowd like, what's up? I'm here. That's it. That's what I mean in Kobe. I don't mean nothing else. Don't take that out of context. But that's what I mean by that. And then you go Cat, right? Somebody who's been with the franchise from the ground, from the mud. Now they doing good. Now he got dudes on his team who are actually telling him, encouraging, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Show out a little bit, man. Pop your muscle. You know what I'm saying? He had dudes who came through there that didn't necessarily rock with him, a.k.a. Jimmy Butler. But now you get some dudes who has a Jimmy Butler type mindset in Patrick Beverly, but except it's used in different ways. Jimmy Butler, obviously there was some tension. He didn't like him, so it was used in more of a negative way. And Patrick Beverly is there to hype him up and let him know, like, nah, bro, you good. You're that guy. It's going to be an interesting game, too, because one thing Memphis can't do is go down 0-2 and then have to win in Minnesota. Tomorrow's going to be a huge game for them on Tuesday. But I'm going to bet that they'll do it, right? They're not a fluke 2 seed. Now, they should be the 3rd seed. Golden State had a little hiccup, but whatever. But they're not a fluke 2 seed. I don't think the Timberwolves will beat them this next game or in the series. 3-6, Denver versus Golden State. We're not going to spend too much, right? Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Draymond, they back on the floor. Poole had 30. It's a pool party. The Nuggets don't have enough, bro. Let's keep it a buck, okay? The Nuggets don't have enough. Jokic is doing everything he can. He was so gassed and so tired, of course, as he would be. One of the few times Jokic has had a negative plus minus, bro. Jokic had a negative 19 plus minus and still managed to have 25, 6, and 10. But when you're the only one really producing those numbers, the next dude was Will Barton, who had 18 shots. He had 24 points. So he has 24. Jokic has 25. Monte Morris has 10. Bones Highland has 10. And then Jeff Green has 7. And that's kind of what you're looking at. So Denver, if they have any chance of winning this game, you need a Jason Tatum type performance like he did last year against Brooklyn to even secure them one game where he went for 50. Jokic will have to do something amazing to even get them one game. Because this will be a 4-0 sweep. The talent is too different. And all that matters in the playoffs is talent. Give me Golden State. Steph is back. He coming off the bench. I doubt he'll come off the bench in game 2. Although you seen the look Jordan Poole gave her when they asked about that lineup. So it worked a little bit. Pool party. He had 30. And then we on to the Jazz versus Mavs. I'm literally watching the game right now. 79-74 right now, third quarter, 1 minute left. Utah's up 5, okay? In game 2. Second game, Luka has missed. I don't really have anything to say because Luka's not here. That first game, Dallas definitely had a chance to win it. Again. All these games have come down to the wire, and then they stretch out at the end, but it's really about one or two plays that could have changed the whole thing. Dallas loses that one. Luka plays the last game of the season. He got a tech he shouldn't have played anyway. He ends up playing because the tech got removed so he could play. And he gets hurt in the last game of the season. My question is, why was he playing? Because the 4 or 5 play each other. So it couldn't have been seeding. Somebody let me know, could Dallas move up to the 3rd seed? Because if they couldn't move up to the 3rd seed, this makes no sense. Because if Dallas was the 4th or the 5th seed, they would have played the Utah Jazz either way. So please let me know if they could have been the 3rd seed. Because if not, this just adds to the stupidity, right? After you had a great season, you're literally one game away from starting the playoffs, and he's still playing. Kind of remind me of Derrick Rose, except Derrick Rose was obviously more traumatic. But bro, game 1s, all right, that's a wrap. When I see y'all Thursday, right back here in this same spot, we will talk about everything that happened. So it'll probably be game 2s and 3s. We're gonna get it all going. I hope y'all like the video. Stay tuned in the playoffs. Let me know who's going to win it all in the comments. I'm going to ask y'all that every week because I know it's going to change. Leave a like. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.